I'm Leonie Lewis, the T-ISAC Senior Manager, and before we get started, I'd like to know how many people know what an ISAC is. Okay, so that's probably a third of you, and mainly our speaker section. So it's great that you're here, and hopefully you'll take away some really valuable information. So ISAC stands for Information Sharing and Analysis Centre, and many diverse industries, including the financial services, aviation, space, health and retail, and hospitality, auto and rail have one. So if any of you are in industries other than telco, please look out for ISACs or come and see me at the end, because I will generally have a connection to one. And that's because of the importance of cross-sector communication. We discussed this earlier in some of the other sessions. So I'm fortunate to head up the T-ISAC, and this provides opportunity to engage and secure platforms to help facilitate information sharing on a global scale. The only prerequisite is that you're a GSMA member. So in the next 45 minutes, I want to immerse you once again into the mobile threat landscape, but this time from the perspective of threat intelligence sharing. A quick shameless plug for our report, our mobile threat landscape report, and you can download that at the top. And that's published every year and has been launched specifically this MWC. So the internet complexity of the mobile threat landscape, as we've seen in previous sessions, means there are threats specific to mobile networks, signaling networks, physical attacks, cables, masts, and corporate systems. As such, there's a wider applicability of threats to many other sectors. And because of this, we need a mutual security resilience across sectors. And one of the ways we at GSMA are helping to do this is, again, by strengthening our relationship with other industry ISACs. Of course, it would be a very long session to try and cover all of the different areas that you see here. So we're going to focus on the most relevant and challenging topics our members are facing on a daily basis. Our brilliant speakers will share examples of how GSMA, T-ISAC, and the wider Fraud and Security Group play a crucial role to help its members firstly identify if they've been singled out, victims of an opportunist attack across sector, or targeted as part of a wider industry-wide campaign. And by working together to develop innovative ways to share details of an attack, its methodology, attributes, the threat actors behind it, will demonstrate this session the impact and value of sharing cyber threat intelligence to build a stronger and unified global telecommunication industry. We'll begin with our first GSMA T-ISAC Awards ceremony to celebrate T-ISAC members that have excelled in the past year in raising awareness and pushing the boundaries of sharing in our industry. I'm grateful to Alex Sinclair, GSMA CTO, who will be presenting their awards. We'll then follow on with a keynote and a fireside chat, which I'm sure you will find fascinating and will be provided by the winners. So without further ado, let's get started. Please welcome Alex Sinclair, GSMA CTO, to conduct the awards ceremony.
Let's get on with the awards. As a member-led initiative, T-ISAC, it thrives and evolves on the active participation and support of its global community. Today, we wanted to publicly recognize and celebrate excellence and leadership from 3 particular T-ISAC members, and of course, notable individuals within each of those organizations. They've all gone above and beyond their commitment to advancing cyber threat intelligence sharing in T-ISAC. The first award goes to Post Luxembourg. Post Luxembourg has been involved in T-ISAC since its inception in 2018 and continues to advocate and highlight the impact and benefits of being part of our global community. Here to accept the Organisation Award to recognise excellence and leadership is Post Luxembourg's CISO, Mohamed Odani. Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say that small is beautiful. Luxembourg is a very small country, geographically. Post Luxembourg is a small operator, size-wise, but this prize shows that small can have a global impact, and this prize also will certainly foster my team Cyberforce to further commit and collaborate. Thanks for this great honor.
Now, the individual award for Post Luxembourg goes to Alexandre de Oliveira. It's no exaggeration to say that Alexander has helped advance telecommunications-specific intelligence sharing. T-ISAC provides innovative solutions to challenges that are shared on a global scale brings, and he's been instrumental in helping to develop some of those solutions, notably a signaling template which allows members to share signaling data. So can we invite Alexander de Oliveira onto the stage?
Yeah, thank you. So I'd like to mainly I think since we started maybe 2018, all this adventure, and so I would like really to thank Leonie and Sam that were really supportive in basically building all this. We were quite few operators starting, and now there is a lot of members, and I hope more will join to contribute to this. Thank you.
Now, our next award goes to STC. STC continues to shine a light on T-ISAC and has been instrumental in influencing members, including regulators and other notable entities in the Middle East, to join. STC is a recent member of the T-ISAC governance team and represents a positive step towards representing the needs of our diverse global membership. Here to accept the Organisation Award to recognise excellence and leadership is the VP Infrastructure, Bada Abdullah S. Alhi.
Hi, gentlemen. So on behalf of STC, I would like to thank the T-ISAC for the award. And STC will continue working for the threat intelligence and to provide with this platform in order to improve the security with all telecom operators. Thank you, gentlemen.
Now, the individual award goes to Nauman Khan. Nauman is one of the main contributors to the T-ISAC chat forum, identifying and posting topics of interest. He also assisted in connecting fraud and security through his active participation in both T-ISAC and the wider fraud and security group. Nauman.
It looks like all those long hours are paying off. Firstly, thanks to Leonie, Sam, and GSMA team for all the support. Thanks to STC and my management, especially I would like to mention Fahad Al-Sahili, his encouragement and support throughout the journey. And finally, I would put a little non-professional touch, and thanks to my family. They have been waiting for countless hours for me to get free. So thank you very much.
Our final award, last but not least, goes to Proximus Ada. Proximus Ada has stepped up in the past 18 months to become the most prolific information sharer within T-ISAC, and I know that because I get all the messages as well. They're the first of our members to embrace the introduction of the signaling templates and share information on a daily basis. In addition to this is the successful collaboration internally between their own teams to develop reports that contain unique data analysis for the purpose of disseminating more widely to the community. Now, unfortunately, Fabrice Clement couldn't be here today, but in his absence, I'd like to welcome Mathieu Allaire to the stage to accept the Organisation Award for Excellence and Leadership on behalf of Proximus Ada.
All right, thanks for the award. It's great to see that our work of the last 2 years pays off, and we are still committed to share more intelligence via the MISP platform. Thank you.
And finally, whoops, the individual award goes to Jeremy Schmidt. Jeremy is a dedicated and active member of T-ISAC. He's responsible for providing T-ISAC members with a continuous flow of information that has resonated with his peers. He communicates best practices and his own experiences to help others improve their security, which in turn, of course, encourages them to discuss their own findings. So please, Jeremy.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for this award. It's really a great honor. When we started this initiative 18 months ago, we never thought it would resonate as hard as it did. I'd like to specifically thank my manager, Mathieu Allard, Proximus Ada, T-ISAC, GSMA, Leonie for all your hard work. It's really starting to pay off, so thank you for that, and thank you for the award.
And finally, I'd just like to thank every single member that has contributed to T-ISAC, because without sharing, there is no intelligence. And of course, I'd also like to thank Leonie, without which there wouldn't be a T-ISAC. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the session.
Thank you. Thanks, Alex, for taking us through the awards. It's really important to us to recognise achievement and excellence, and it's great that everyone was able to turn up to collect them as well. So we're going to move swiftly on. I'm going to bring Alexandra and Jeremy back to the stage to present our keynote entitled Signalling New Frontiers, T-ISAC Insights.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're here to discuss a little bit about the data that we've been sharing related to the SS7 protocol and do a review of what we found last year. We're going to highlight the challenges, the findings, and what threat actors aim to achieve on our network and on other networks all over the globe. So just a little bit of context about what SS7 actually is. It's a protocol used by telecom providers across the globe. It's a very old protocol, but it's still very relevant. And it's used to manage calls and services like phone calls, SMS, call forwarding, authentication, and different telco-specific operations. Each telecom sits on a treasure trove of SS7 data. But traditionally, there's not much done with this aside from the daily operations. That's unfortunate, because when we take a look at what's going on the SS7 level, there's a lot of information that we can glean. Right? But why aren't telecoms doing anything with this data? Well, it's difficult to manage it. There's no real structure to it, there's no real maturity involved, and there's a real lack of standardization when it comes to analyzing this data and sharing it across the community. If we talk about things like looking for attack patterns, there's no real knowledge out there on what to do and how to analyze this data. And so what we've started to do since 2022 is actually share this data. GSMA and T-ISAC has facilitated us immensely. They've created an intelligence sharing platform that allows us to put all of our data out there for others to see and others to utilize. We share things like anomalies and attack patterns that we detect on the SS7 level, and it allows for others to perform their own analysis of attack patterns and to improve attribution when it comes to threat actors. It also increases awareness among our peers, and it helps shed light on what's going on at the SS7 level. A little bit of what we share and how we deduce what's going on at SS7 is we take a look at the operations that are being sent to our network. Using the SS7 protocol, there's a whole bunch of different operations that can be sent towards us, and based on what we see occurring, we can start to put together what a threat actor is aiming to achieve. What's their goal? Is it to gain sensitive data about our customers, or is it to perform location tracking? Based on these operations, we can kind of analyze what they're doing, see how they're trying to bypass our security, and attribute their actions and get an idea of what their goal is. So since 2022, and specifically last year, we've pushed 6,802 reports to the MISP, right? So we use our centralized information sharing platform. 62% of all those events, we believe, were malicious attempts at tracking our subscribers or roaming subscribers on our network. 37% were attempts to retrieve sensitive data, so IMSI, a unique identifier of the customer, and about 1% we attribute to other actions such as fraud, SMS interception. So those numbers are quite shocking. When we see how many attempts there are at tracking, VIP customers or VIPs roaming on our network, it's a bit shocking to see that all of these attempts occur. Now, mind you, these are all blocked by our network. None of this goes through, but they don't care. They continue trying to do this. They continue the attempts at location tracking in vast numbers. We've created a bit of a heat map here for a visualization of where these attempts are coming from. Now, mind you, we spoke a little bit about GT leasing in the previous slide. These are the results of the raw data. It's not necessarily the case that the attacker always comes from Poland, or 1 out of 5 times comes from Poland, but the GTs that are used do, right? But maybe there's something further behind that. Maybe there's another hop behind that. Maybe they're leased. They could be spoofed as well. But the raw data indicates that 5 or 6 out of the 10 top talkers towards our network trying to abuse these SS7 protocols come from the EU, come from Europe. And then you start to ask yourself, well, why is this? Why would they all come from Europe? Maybe they think that we have better ties with European countries and so our security will be laxer. Maybe they believe that they have more chance of success if they approach our network from a European country. We don't know. These are the questions that we're asking. But without looking at this SS7 data, without others sharing it, there's no way to even get these numbers or start asking the questions, right? So we're really starting to dig into what this data means and what we can glean from it.
And so we start from having all this raw data, and we know that the part of the GTs that we see, so the source of the attacks, basically are GT which are leased, which today poses a big challenge, which at the end is attribution of the attack. So who is really behind it? So we see all over our networks attacks, but it's hard for us to say, okay, this was coming from this threat actor. So what we try to do is, obviously we try to do attribution, but the attackers can change quickly. So they have a large panel of access that they can get on. This mainly due because we have many MVNOs. Access today are cheap, so it's super easy for them to change quickly the different access, so for us to identify them and retrace them. Other really complex part is the international legal cases. If you want to start to have international collaboration, it's quite complex. It takes time and gives the attacker the time to basically completely shift their infrastructure towards something else. So we have quite of a challenge of keeping up with the speed the attackers can adapt to what we do. I mean, at the end, and it's what we are trying to push and what we do with Proximus and other operators, cooperation is the key if we want to be able to be as fast or at least try to keep up with these attackers. And that's why we basically did and set up all this initiative on collaborating on MISP and basically trying to identify and to move forward on that. So as I was saying, the most complex part for us is attribution. How do we do attribution? Basically, usually when you have GTs which are attacking you, it's hard to retrace from where they are coming from, who they are belonging to. They could sometimes be belonging to completely dead operators that don't operate since years. They could come from considered to be not attributed telephone ranges, etc., etc. So for us, it's quite complex to go there. But slowly, because we get contacts around the world, we get to retrace the routing of these, where they are coming from, where they got in the network, and so it gives us more and more of an idea on how, let's say, the business model of attackers is built and how do they get these accesses. Also, not to forget, now I'm introducing a new concept, which is diameter. So it's the 4G equivalent of SS7, where basically we have the same type of attacks. So we were speaking about SS7, which is 2G, 3G, but 4G, we get the same type of attacks. There is spoofing possible, so you can usurpate the identity of the source. And we have seen real-life attacks where attackers were spoofing neighbor countries of the attacked country. So they could spoof, for example, from here, France or Portugal, and attack the actual country, that if you don't do basically the retracing and attribution properly, you could believe that your neighboring countries are starting to attack you, which is quite dangerous when we see the geopolitical situation today. And so basically, all along this journey, we try to aggregate the data to basically pull out campaigns, see where they are coming from, and this we do it cross-operator to be able to make sure that we have relevant data. That's how today we do attribution. So all along the journey, I've counted how many basically least GTs that were malicious we detected on our networks. That was around 350 unique GTs that were really malicious, meaning that they were purposely targeting our networks, and around 30 different companies that were providing these leasing GTs. So it gives you an idea of how developed the ecosystem is today. And then when you go for collecting subscriber data, so interception or IMSI collection, etc., and location tracking, then you go a bit lower. It was around 180 GTs and 20 basically GTs running interception attacks. So gives you a number a bit slower, but still present. We still see attempts of interception, calls, SMS. It could be to take over your bank account or, I don't know, Google Drives, etc., etc. So, and these we have seen in real life cases. So really quickly on the threat actor retrospective, then we'll move a bit more precisely on that. But often threat actors are basically in business with surveillance companies, which are more the branded part of basically the companies selling their services. And there is really a gray zone between legitimate surveillance companies that are selling services to government, operators, etc., and the same threat actors that basically are attacking us as critical infrastructures. Over the year, last year and the year before, we did several presentations over T-ISAC to present them. And basically today, you can identify a few of them that really were the major players, I would say, in the last 2 years.
So one of our more advanced findings is that we were able to look at the data and identify a large-scale location tracking campaign. This campaign was completely decentralized due to GC leasing. So what that means is we saw different GTs from across the globe working together to track different GTs or different subscribers on our network. They used a vast pool of GTs in the hundreds. They rotate them frequently to avoid detection, and it was also fully automated. And what's also quite notable is even though we drop all of the traffic because we deem it malicious, they just continue. They continue to rotate through these GTs. They continue to attempt every minute to track a location. And it's clear that they wouldn't do this if it didn't work. So while it might be blocked on our network, it's clearly not blocked on every network everywhere, or they wouldn't do it. I would bet that the vast majority of networks, where the vast majority don't block them, otherwise they wouldn't set this whole system up. And so we have to look at the behavior that's occurring on our network via SS7 in order to identify this. We have to use patterns and behavioral fingerprints in order to see what they're doing, to identify this, and we have to continue to block it. We have to share the IOCs, we have to share what we see on T-ISAC in order to help others identify these attacks as well.
And so one of the threat actor basically companies that was even published last year, you have seen it in the news around March to May. Basically, Think Telecom Services was, and is still today, an operator in different countries. They have access to more than 9 countries. And basically, they were, without any doubt, the most active
company targeting telecom operators. And they were doing location tracking, interception attempts, everything you could imagine that a threat actor would do. And they were basically providing these services to surveillance companies. So we did several presentations within the GSMA, mainly private presentations, so within the operators. That's why if you're an operator, you should join, because we do this kind of closed group presentation where we try to share together upfront, before they are even published publicly, all these data. But basically, these kind of companies are the ones that we are trying to, where we are trying to attribute the attacks. We are trying to remap basically who they are working with, what they are doing, which attack techniques they have, and basically to provide the support to operators to defend themselves against these attackers. So yeah, and this is basically looking forward to this year. We'll continue doing presentations, we'll continue sharing. We are welcoming for sure new operators, so if you are not part of TIAC, just go and discuss with Leonie, or you can also find the page online, so it's super easy. And for sure there will be new threat actors to keep up on, so we will not stop here. Thank you for listening, and yeah.
I think it's important to note that there's no sign that this will stop anytime soon.
Yeah.
So until telecoms start to analyze the data, detect what's going on, and block them, it's going to continue unabated in 2024 and later.
Exactly.
So I would really hope everyone can join, everyone can start detecting SS7, and we can apply some rules to our network to block these threat actors.
Yeah, and if you need any advice, you can come to us. We'll always be welcome to collaborate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Alexandra and Jeremy. I'm sure you'll agree, a powerful insight into the signaling threats faced by telecom operators worldwide. And it really demonstrates the power of collaboration sharing facilitated by the T-ISAC. So without further ado, we're going to move on to the Fireside chat now. I'm going to be speaking to Nauman Khan. I'd like to welcome him onto the stage with me now, please. Do you want to sit there, Nauman? I'm just moving chairs so that we can actually look at the screen behind us as well. Okay, so yeah, we're going to focus in on certain areas within the threat landscape that haven't really been covered yet, and I hope you find it a fascinating insight. So Nauman, there's a lot of talk about location tracking via mobile phones. I think it'd be really helpful to describe how telecoms networks are used and exploited to perform surveillance.
Actually, first question rises that why a mobile network need your location? So because there are buzzwords that certain companies use your location to advertise or anything, but why a mobile network needs your location? So previously we used to have landline numbers, and in that case the subscriber location was not required. We knew the line where the traffic has to be sent, and it will terminate on the landline handset. That's it. But once we introduced mobile networks and we started moving around, now the network needs to know where you are so that your call or SMS can be transferred to you. Because of this, the mobile network needs to maintain your location all the time. And this is the information which is being exploited by threat agents. They try to use or try to extract the same information to find the location of the subscribers. And there are certain levels of location you can find. One level can be just that, are you in a certain country or not? The next level can be that, are you in a certain city or not? I'm just talking roughly. But it can go to as precise as 300 to 500 meters in a physical space. So this is why, location tracking is being active with mobile networks from threat agents' point of view.
Okay. And then moving on, because we do have just a short time to cover quite a few topics here, we're going to look at spyware now. We've got a whole page dedicated in the mobile landscape report that I mentioned earlier. And in the T-ISAC chat forum, where we have real-time discussions and requests for information posts, a lot has been mentioned about spyware, particularly Citrox's Predator and Pegasus. So how does spyware come into this mix?
Okay, so spywares are using mainly two channels to target their victims. One is IT channel, and the other one is the telecom channel. The IT channel is where they try to install some kind of software on your mobile device. It's a malware. And that provides access to your contact list, your SMS content. It can intercept your voice calls and also your banking credentials, cryptocurrency wallets, and so on and so forth. So that's a malware virus installed on your handset. The other channel is the telecom channel. As we were just discussing, that telecom networks have sensitive information with them. And the threat agents try to extract that information through telecom channel or from telecom channel. And so that is the telecom channel part. Both of these have been used in spyware attacks. And the last part is the 0-day. And the 0-day is something which, if there is an Android or an iOS operating system installed on your handset, and there is a 0-day which is not known to anyone and only to the threat agents, that has been exploited under spyware. So mainly these three channels are being used.
Okay, and we wanted people to have some takeaways. So I think it's important that we talk about the positive action that we can do to help protect against surveillance and spyware. So what are your recommendations?
Yeah, so GSMA has very nice security guidelines to protect against telecom-based signaling attacks. We have for SS7 diameter, GTP, and so on and so forth. So it is recommended that all operators implement those guidelines well in their systems with their signaling firewalls, SMS firewalls, all that. And also, it has to be something like an ongoing effort. So operators have to do security assessments to see the security status of their network. So there is no set and forget solution in telecom cybersecurity. So it's an ongoing thing. You have to keep on checking your and fine tune your rules to protect against such attacks.
Okay, great. And what about the 0-day?
Yeah, so for 0-day, there is no straightforward solution.
No.
Because 0-day is not known. But basic hygiene definitely helps. So you can have, for example, as a subscriber, it should be made aware that do not install unknown apps, do not install from unknown sources, and have good antivirus installed on your mobile phone. And do not click on links which are not known, and so on and so forth. So these definitely help, but there is no, you can say, one window solution for 0-day as of now. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So we're going to move on to smishing, and I know that most of you, probably all of you, are aware about smishing, but did you know that in 2023 there was an increase of 318% smishing attacks worldwide compared to 2022? So this information came from Proofpoint, and I wanted to point out some of the different areas. You can't really see the detail here, but I think it's really important to remember that smishing and many of the fraud attacks occur to different verticals. So that's why we've included in here, we've got the banks, we've got government, we've got schools, education, retail, manufacturing, airplane, travel. So yeah, I just wanted to sort of open our eyes into that part of this attack. So why do we continue to see smishing, Nauman? Why do threat actors see it as an attractive channel considering it, we assume it's a dying technology.
Yeah, so SMS is a highly trusted channel with an open rate of up to 98%. No other channel has that open rate, email or any other kind of marketing channel or any other channel you use. SMS is by default there in everyone's handset, like a phone call. So if somebody knows your number, he can send you an SMS. You do not need to install any app or anything to specifically for receiving an SMS. So because of that, it's an attractive playground. And also I would like to add that SMS mostly being used in our telecom networks is used on SS7 protocol. And SS7 is around 40 years old protocol with its inherent limitations. So it is very difficult for the receiver to identify between an actual SMS and a spoofed SMS, or even in some cases a phishing SMS. So all of these factors contribute to a very attractive, channel for threat agents to be used.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's probably a good idea to look at a real-world campaign, and I'm thinking back to 2021 to 2022, when Flubot banking malware came into the lives of our operators and, of course, the banking sector as a really big issue. And it was something that really brought the security teams and the fraud specialists together, which I think is really important, especially as, we've already talked about how do we connect those teams together. And this is one of the areas where T-ISAC really does work. And we have many different tools to help our members from those different areas. Fraud specialists aren't necessarily wanting to use a threat intelligence platform, for example. We need to provide something that makes it easier for them to upload their information. So, moving back to Flubot, what were the capabilities of Flubot that made it so successful, Nauman?
Yeah, so Flubot used, you can say, every possible tool in the book to target their victims. Flubot started propagating with smishing, so you received an SMS with a malicious URL. The SMS could be any kind of delivery message, or there was an SMS where it stated that upgrade to 5G by clicking here, and so on and so forth. There was even another one where when the Flubot got famous, there was an SMS which is pretended to be from Google, and it stated that your device is infected from Flubot, so install this security patch. So that was actually, when you install the security patch, that was the Flubot. So all the techniques were used to enter. Then the malware itself exploited the accessibility features of Android, and it gained access to everything on your mobile. So it had your contact list. It started sending messages from your phone to your contacts. Secondly, it did some advanced level things. For example, if my mobile sent a message to you, it blocked your number in my mobile so that you cannot inform me that my mobile is infected.
Wow.
Also, it got hold of your SMS app, and using that, if you are receiving an OTP, it hides it in your app, so you do not see the OTP is being received, but the attacker received it and logged into your banking app or cryptocurrency app and so on and so forth. So it used many techniques. Even when mobile operators started blocking Flubot related SMS using various security controls, it moved to MMS in some cases, and MMS had no security controls as such, so all the techniques were used by Flubot.
And one of the things that we saw on the chat forum was that because we're global, the attacks were starting in Europe, and then we found that in Australia, for example, certain techniques were being used, but they could follow which techniques were being used in which area of the world, and they were able to utilize some of those mitigation techniques that they'd seen and some of the reporting, and also the customer feedback. So operators were using information to actually share with their customers to help them not get infected. Can I just ask quickly, does anybody know if they were impacted by FluBot, or were they aware of FluBot until today? So hands up. Okay, great. All right. So, I mean, there's a lot of banking malware out there. So do you want to just tell us some more in terms of, look out for these things?
Yeah, so FluBot is not alone. There is, roaming mantis is there. Alien malware is there. There is a recent malware targeting Iranian bank customers. There is Kamran malware is also there. So various kinds of malwares are there, and they are, evolving all the time. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, we're actually going to have to move on quite quickly. We're going to talk lastly about social engineering, which impacts us all. And again, I've got some really frightening statistics to share with you. These were quoted in the Cybersecurity Ventures, which was sponsored by eCentire, and saying the global annual cost of cybercrime is predicted to reach $9.5 trillion this year. So, as we know, social engineering can take many forms. And again, according to an article in the Firewall Times by Catherine Reed last year, 98% of cyber attacks involve some form of social engineering. So in terms of the telco threats, what role does social engineering play?
Yeah, so because all the channels used by social engineering, primarily email or SMS, are available on mobile phones. We check those through mobile phones. All the industries we are aware of are infected or impacted by social engineering techniques. It could be voice social engineering, vishing. It could be even social engineering through RCS messages, which is a new one, and so on and so forth. So all channels are being exploited. We also saw some different kind of threats using social engineering. For example, fake LinkedIn profiles. We did some sessions on that as well. So because LinkedIn has information about the employee, as a user, you can see which employee is working in which company, at which title, and so on and so forth. So they can target a particular person, and through fake profiles and so on and so forth. We also saw fake ads on Facebook, which were targeting victims, and they were backed by fake Facebook profiles and fake Facebook pages. So there was a whole, you can say, system was established, maybe 15 profiles or 20 profiles, which were all fake. They were commenting to each other. They were making making it authentic and everything. And the ad was showing that page. And so, as a user, you go to that page. Okay, this looks suspicious. Check the comments and everything. Everything you would see. Okay, people are saying we are winning it and all that. Everything was fake. So, social engineering is something which definitely it's targeting everyone, and user awareness is a must in this regard. Also, companies should have proper policies for handling social media networks for their employees. There is a new feature from LinkedIn, which is work email verification part. So we encourage everyone to enable that. And it's good to have the employees should know what to do if they find something suspicious on social network. So that should be there as well. So yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, we've run out of time. I hope you found it really useful, interesting. Thank you so much, Nauman. And thank you again to Alexandra and to Jeremy as well.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.